everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coding Bytes. I am Daphne, an educator at Coding Lab. In today's episode of Coding Bytes, we will be learning more about cloud variables and making menu buttons. In addition, we're also going to be learning more about creating and designing buttons. To get a better idea of what we'll be creating, let's head on to a quick preview of today's project. This is the game that we will be working on today. In this game of Clicking Zoo, we see our little lion friend here sitting in his room. And whenever we click on it, the number of pets recorded actually increases. Now, if we continue clicking and it exceeds my high score, the high score will then increase accordingly to reflect my score. In addition to this, we can also click on the shop icon. And as we can see over here, we can make many different purchases for our pet. We can feed it treats, give it a toy, and even purchase a new pet. Now, to see what this looks like, I'm going to go ahead and purchase a treat for my pet. And as you can see over here, once I click on the icon, my lion gets fed a treat. Now that you've seen the game, let's head into our Scratch accounts. Click on the project link in the description box below. In this remix project, most of our features are already here. All that's missing now is our high score and the options for our shop. If you're ready to start, click on the remix button and let's begin coding. So the first thing that we would do is to create our cloud variable. To do so, let's head into our variables, which is this dark orange icon over here, and make a variable. Now let's go ahead and give our variable a name. In my case, I'll be naming my variable high score. Remember that we want this to be a cloud variable, so let's take this box over here. Do note that in order to create cloud variables, you do need to be a scratcher. Now that we have our high score variable, let's just make sure that it'll show up every time we start the game. And we can do so by using our show variable block, which is a dark orange block over here. Then we want to make it such that when the number of pets that I've generated in one game is more than the current high score, I will set the high score to follow the current score. To do this, we will first be grabbing our forever and if-then blocks, both of which are orange control blocks. I'm then going to put my if-then inside my forever block. So forever, if something happens, then something else will happen. To fill in this blank over here, I'm first going to start with a green operator block and grab the more than block to insert into this blank. Then I'm going to head back into my variables to grab my high score and pets block. And I want it such that something will happen when the number of pets that I have is greater than the current high score. We want it such that if we exceed the current high score, our high score is updated along with our pets. To do this, let's head into our dark orange variables and set our high score to pets. And with that, we've completed our high score code. Now that we're done, let's head over to our options sprite and begin coding our menu icons. We want it such that after our shop icon is clicked, our options all appear. As we can see in our costumes, we already have 3 options over here. Let's head back into our code by clicking on the code icon on the top left hand of the screen. As we can see over here, we have our when I receive shop please block. This is the broadcast message that is sent whenever our shop icon is clicked. So let's start our code here. Since we want our options to be seen, we can first start by including a show block, which is a purple looks block. Now, the way we want our code to work is to create 2 clones that change their costumes and positions whenever we click on our shop icon. So to keep track of our clones, we're going to be creating a variable to act as a counter. We're going to head into our dark orange variables and make a variable, which I'm going to name as clone. Our first costume number started at 1 and it ran to 3. So we're going to set our clone variable to start at 1. And to do so, we are going to be using our set block and drag it underneath our when shop please receive block. Now, We want to change the costumes of our option icons based on which clone number they are. So in the case of our first option icon, we want to switch the costume of our icon to costume 1. Since we have already set our clone number to 1, I'm just going to use the clone variable to fill in this blank over here. Following that, we're going to be creating 2 more clones for our other 2 options. And to do so, we're going to be making use of our create clone block. Since we only want 2 clones to be created, let's have our create clone block be repeated twice, for which we are going to use our repeat block and have it repeat 2 times. And now that we have created our clones, we also want to update our clone counter every time we create a new clone. And to do this, we'll make use of our change by block, which is a dark orange variables block. Since we want to increase the clone number every time a clone is created, let's insert the block right below our create clone block. As we can see now, whenever we go into our shop, we have 3 clones created. In order to control our clones, we are going to make use of our when I start as a clone block. Then we are going to bring in our if then else block. If our clone is equal to 2, that something will happen. We want it such that if our clone is equals to 2, that we will switch to costume 2 as well. So to reflect this, let's bring in our switch costume block and have it switch to costume 2 when clone equals to 2. Now that we've programmed clone 2, we're going to do the exact same thing for clone 3. As we can see over here, all 3 of our clones with different costumes have been created. The problem now is that they start off at the same position. To fix that, let's first start by dragging our first option sprite, our treat sprite, to where we want it to start. We are then going to use our go-to block, our blue motion block, and put it underneath our show block. For our other option sprites, we're going to do the exact same thing, dragging our first option sprite to where we want the clones to be, and then grabbing our go-to block. If the clone equals to 2, for example, then we want it to go to that position. We will then do the same for our third option. And we're almost done with our code. The only problem that we have now is that even when we click on the options, it will not trigger the action that should be carried out. We want to initiate our action every time we click on the icon. So to do so, let's go ahead and bring out our forever and if then blocks. We want that forever if our mouse pointer is touching the sprite and we click on the sprite, that something will happen. So let's go ahead and bring in our AND block, which is a green operator block. Then we're going to go into our light blue sensing blocks to bring out our mouse touching and mouse down blocks. If our mouse pointer is touching the sprite and we mouse down, we want something to happen. We should only allow players who have enough pets to buy the item. We'll first bring out another AND block. So if our mouse pointer is on the sprite and mouse down, and if our pets are greater or equal to the cost price. So to continue this, we're going to bring in our OR block and fill in the blanks over here. So if our pets are more than, in this case, our cost price. Now, go ahead and type the amount that you want in this blank. For this project, variables have already been created to store the cost price for each option. Since we are working on the feed option, I will be using the variable cost feed to fill in the cost price. We are then going to fill in this other blank with or pet equal to cost feed. Then what happens if I manage to click on my icon with enough pets? The first thing I'll do is to deduct the money from my total number of pets. Let's go ahead and change our pets by their cost price. Go ahead and type in your number, but I'm going to use my variable for this. And since I want my number to decrease, I'll need a minus sign in front, which to reflect, I will use my times operator and have it times the cost price by -1. After this, I want my animation to start as well. So let's go ahead and use our broadcast block for that. I'm just going to go ahead and broadcast feed when I buy a treat. Additionally, I'm also going to include a wait 0.1 seconds block right below at the end of my code. The reason for this is because sometimes if we hold our mouse down for too long, the computer might register that we've clicked more than once. So including a wait block helps to prevent this issue. And that's it. So let's go ahead and test our code. I first need to make sure that I have enough clicks to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get 50 pets. Now that I have enough pets to buy a treat, I'm going to click on the treat icon. And yes, it's working great. Now, all we need to do is to finish up the coding for our other two options. Instead of rewriting all of that code, we can duplicate it and change up the details accordingly. To duplicate the code, let's bring our mouse pointer right over the top of the code from where we want it to duplicate. And we're going to do a right click. You see a pop-up like so. And if you click on duplicate, you'll have a copy of the code that you should be able to move wherever you want it to be. And all that's left now is to change up the details for each icon. The key parts that we would need to change includes the cost of your options. So instead of cost feed for our pet icon, we can change it to cost pet. The broadcast message as well, which we can change to new pet. Additionally, one of the features that I had was that whenever something was bought in the shop, the player would receive an additional 5 or more pets per second. In my case, in order for this boost to work, I would need to change my multiple var pet, which acts as a counter for every time I purchase each item. And I'll do the same for my third and first option icon as well. In the case of my third option icon, it will be multiple var toy. Feel free to include other special features for whenever the player buys something at the shop. Now that we've officially finished the code for our menu icons, let's do one final test to make sure that everything's working as it should. And there you go. Our shop and high scores are officially done. I hope that you've learned something with me today. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video and click subscribe for more coding videos. Head down to the comment section down below to tell us what you think about this video. Thank you for watching and until next time. Bye-bye!